Oh, yeah. What's up, everybody? Steve Majora here, and this is my song Here All the Time, co-written with the incredible Bob Fritzma. We wrote this back in 2020 during the pandemic. This was a song that Bob brought in. Absolutely love it. It was a lot of fun to put together and to flesh out. This was one of the first fully remote productions that I had done. We wrote it over FaceTime, did a demo of it, and then ended up enlisting the help of a bunch of awesome people, including Johnny Gomez on guitar, the 504 horns on it, Jason Parfait and Ian Smith. Jason's doing the saxophone solo on this. We got Jake Hayden on drums, Warren Merle from Robert John and the Wreck on bass, and myself on keyboards and Bob on Hammond. I ended up going back through and touching it back up, redid all of the background vocals on it this year. It was fun to put it together and finally get a good mix going on here. So let's just check out this epic, epic tune. Here we go. Yes, I do. I don't see you, but you hold out your arms when you hear me. And I know that I'm alright. I just want you here all the time. No one tells me you want otherwise. Ain't no hurry, but your state of mind leaves me worried. Yeah. So here we go. Lots going on here. We got a ton of percussion. We got the metal shaker here from Logic. We've got some tambourine stuff, some claps, some percussion, some congas, some triangle stuff going on. There's a bunch happening. So let's just dive in. On the percussion here, we've got this all in a little summing stack here for that. And we've got the metal shaker, which I just put the CLA 2A on there. The congas and cowbell groove, same thing, CLA 2A. The triangle and tambourine groove has nothing on it as it came in, but this is really fun stuff. If we just solo this out, here's some of the percussion. And I'm just working with what I have at my disposal here in the little loop bay in Logic. So that's pretty fun. We also have some percussion too, some claps from Shimmer, Shake, Strike. Try saying that 10 times fast. Shimmer, Shake, Strike, Shimmer, Shake, Strike. Anyway, there's a bunch of that going on. The whole percussion stuff gets pretty involved, which is really nice. Here's later on. I also added a cowbell a little bit later as the song keeps going. And really the only thing I've got going on these is the CLA 2A. Just kind of getting things compressed down a little bit, popping through the mix a little bit better. We've got kick from Jake Hayden. Again, on the tracks themselves, there's nothing, but on the kick sum, I ended up using the silencer from Black Salt Audio. Let's just hear what this is doing. We'll take all of the processing off. So coming in, it's pretty dang fantastic. And then just with that silencer plug-in on, it really cleans it up a bunch. Then we have the virtual mix rack on Punchy Rock Kick. And then it's being sent to a compressor for a little parallel compression, the Verb Suite drum room, and the Abbey Road saturator. And that's the kick sound. Snare, we've got the virtual mix rack. We have the classic snare 1. And again, on the snare bottom and top, the only thing I have going on is the silencer. A lot of hi-hat bleed. So engaging these silencers really cleans it up. It just takes all those cymbals out. What a fantastic plugin. I've got the, on here, I've got it on snare top on the top, snare bottom on the bottom. And then the virtual mix rack. Kick and snare. Then I added in a snare sample. Just to give it a little extra thickness. We got the hi-hat on the warm hi-hat preset. So without. This is also a section where it's fading out, so I'm going to tighten that up a little bit. So without, with. Rack toms, we've got the silencer, although Jake already had these gated when they came in. So we have the Rack Tom Vintage. I love that vintage preset. And then I also have a sampler going on as well. So together, pan to the same place, and same thing with the floor tom. Overheads, we got stereo overheads, and I've got this going to the Overheads Tight Vintage and the S1 Imager, just widening it out a little bit. So without, virtual mix rack, Imager, and then compressor, Verb Suite, and the Abbey Road. Center mic overheads, just as they came in, being sent out to these couple things here. Ride cymbal. Just as it came in. Drum room stereo. Just as it came in, being sent out a little more heavily to that saturator. But pop them all in together. And then we got more percussion. We've got more congas with the CLA2A and the Infinity EQ on the electric bass preset. Interesting. That must have been left over from another track, but I guess it works if I left it. Without anything with the CLA. Cool. That works. Got some tambourine, just with CLA, then being sent out to the chroma verb there, and the shaker being sent out to a Valhalla. Here's all the percussion there. With the drums and the other percussion. Moving on to bass, I ended up doing the same thing where split out the highs and the lows of the bass and then have that sent out to its own summing stack where I've got the R bass and a little bit of channel EQ on here. So let's just check out the bass here. And this one is the Infinity EQ on the bass guitar preset. So without, with, and the bass high. Just really getting that kind of grittiness and finger and string action. As it came in, here's that Infinity EQ. Here's the channel EQ. and a little multipressor on there. Just some nice separation there, and then adding in that R bass and the channel EQ. Now I did mess around a little bit with having a basement bass underneath it, but I figured it didn't really need it. There was enough low end coming out with all of that it just seemed to work just fine on its own. So let's just get all of the percussion and bass here. You can hear what it sounds like all together. Groovy! All right, moving on. We've got the Hammond from Bob, and I'll just pull this off because I didn't end up using it. But on these tracks, again, we have nothing. They're being sent out a little bit to a Valhalla vintage Verb. And this is a multi-mic setup that Bob sent over. We've got the top, right, and left of the Leslie horn, and then also a mono mic on the Leslie drum. So here is the Leslie top stereo. And with the Leslie bottom in there. And I've got these panned out, hard right and left. And the Leslie bottom down in the center. And then just have this all kind of panned off to about centered around 2 o'clock and just tightened in a little bit more. And over here we've got the CLA 2A. Compressing it a little bit. We've got the Infinity EQ on the organ preset. Some virtual mix rack on the piano setting because it kind of occupies that same range. And then the imager, spreading it out a little bit. And then we're sending it to the Valhalla. So there we go. There's the Leslie sound. Great job from Bob. 504 horns here. We've got 2 saxes and a trumpet, and then a saxophone solo that was recorded separately. And on these ones, I've got the Infinity EQ coming in on the horn preset, and then the CLA 2A. And on the trumpet, I just added a little extra boost around there just to kind of brighten that up a little bit. So here is the horns just as they came in. And here we go with the Infinity EQs. And the CLA. And the extra trumpet EQ. And then I've got this sent off to an RVox. 4040 retro limiter. Little channel EQ, just pulling out some muddy spots. And the D-Res. And this is what I was pulling out, because I just did not need that there. And then we got this send out to tape delay, Verb Suite, to 250 vocal perfection, and to the Valhalla. And I left these all wide and just ended up, again, just refocusing it a little bit to like 1 o'clock over on the side there. So that's that. Rhodes we have here was how it came in. And this is my Nord. Got a little virtual mix rack on the vibe strip. Got the Infinity EQ on electric piano. CLA2A. Channel EQ is just boosting up some highs. Didn't really feel the need to high pass anything here because there's not much going on in that register. And then the D-Res is pulling out that high mids. That tininess, just sound of the tines could come down a bit. So got that pulled out. And then setting that off to a keyboard amp. And the Abbey Road horn chamber. So there's that. That's the Rhodes sound. The piano sound is had a D-Res. We have the D-Res here. Let's listen. Pulling out that nasty frequency. Little channel EQ, clean up a little mud. CLA 76. Pressing it down a little bit. Another channel EQ, boosting a little bit in the highs, cleaning up some mud. And then the imager just to widen it out a little bit. Great. And then next up, we've got the guitars. Now the guitars here. So here's the intro and verse guitars. So here's how it came in. It's nice and clean. Brought down the gain on here. And then fed it through the vintage vibe, jazz or gospel tone preset. Here's that CLA2A, slamming it pretty hard. Electric Guitar 2 preset on the virtual mix rack. Got the D-Res again. Just pulling out that nastiness. And then we got another channel EQ. So boosting up some more, cutting a little bit of that high mid stuff out. And then I ran it through a tremolo pedal, through Logic pedal board. Choruses were pretty much the same, except for the pedal board here. I used a retro chorus and heavenly chorus. And so here's with and without that. And I put some vintage drive instead of the vintage vibe. So how it came in. Just add these together. Little gain, bringing that down by 1/10 of a decibel. Out to a Logic amp sim. Virtual mix rack. CLA. D-Res. And the pedal board. And a second EQ. And then I just tossed the D-Res on the summing stack here. Just getting rid of that nastiness. And then we've got the guitar solos. This one's just some little tasties here and there that kind of pop in and out. To say you miss me, yes. And again, this is just the virtual mix rack on the electric guitar setting and the CLA 1176 emulation. And again, Johnny gave me a lot more than I was ever going to need. I really like having the option of having more and then not needing to use it. It's a lot better than not having something than trying to fill that with something else. God forbid a MIDI guitar. And then on the guitar solo itself, I ran this through the CLA-2A first off, and then the Archetype Gojira, the Hender Fusion preset. So let's just build this up. So here's just how it came in. CLA-2A. And then just made it weird. I absolutely love what this plugin does. And this is pretty much just the preset. And it was already kind of fuzzy and driven. So I just wanted a little more, wanted to mess it up a little bit. Without, with. And then add in that channel strip there. And then the D-Res again. Taking out that frequency. Ugh, it's so gross. So without. And then threw a channel EQ on it and just low passed some stuff and cleaned up that high end so it wasn't as nasally and bitey. Send it out to the Verb Suite, tape delay, and a pedal board with a spin box, which is a Leslie rotor emulator, and a delay, which is bypassed. And here's the guitar solo sound in context. Now vocals. We've got so many vocals going on in here. It was so much fun to put this together. Oh my gosh. So let's just take a look at the lead vocals. Come on over here. This is just the CLA vocals and the RVox being sent out to the Valhalla. Pretty wet at the Valhalla. The Verb Suite, Vocal Perfection 250, and 3 different tape delays, 1/4, 1/8, and 1/16. So as it came in.
I just want you here all the time.
With the CLA.
No one tells me you want otherwise.
RVox.
It ain't no hurry, but your state of mind leaves me worried. Oh, yeah. I just want you here all the time. No one tells me.
Same thing with the vocal double.
Otherwise.
And then getting into these background vocals, there are 3 different types of background vocals that are all doing different things. So let's just go here to the outro and we'll show you what this is doing. So you got the first background vocal group.
I just want you here all the time. No one tells me you want otherwise. Ain't no hurry.
So that's a little bit more just direct harmony stuff. I've got the wave sibilance going on, just controlling a lot of those S's because it is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-part vocal. We got the channel EQ, the D-Res going on, just pulling out a little bit of 1K that it was building up. Then the mix bus enhancer, vocal enhancer from Infinity EQ, and the 4040 retro limiter because I just wanted it to be this giant chunk of cheddar, right? So, because there's a lot going on here, I wanted to be able to affect it as its own thing without having to bounce it down in case I needed to change anything. So here's just the first background vocal group.
I just want you here all the time. No one tells me you want otherwise.
Here's background vocal 2, and this one's just got the Infinity EQ and that 4040 retro limiter. Again, chunk of cheddar cheese. I just want you here all the time.
Here all the time.
No one tells me you want otherwise. Ain't no hurry. And background vocal 3.
Baby, I want you. Baby, I need you.
And these are massive, massive stacks, right? This is what, 13 through 17. 5-part background vocals. We've got 7 through 12. 6-part background vocal on number 2. And 5-part background vocal on number 1. And they're all quad tracked, which is just insane. But when you put it all together, it starts to work better as like 3 separate voices. And I think that the 4040 Retro Limiters is a huge helper with that.
Baby, I want you. Here all the time. Here all the time. Baby, I need you. Otherwise. Baby, I want you. Baby, I want you.
With the lead, which I actually had the lead muted there because I went to ad-libs, but the vocal double continues on the melody.
I just want you with me, baby. Tells me I need you. You don't want no otherwise. It leaves me worried. And I don't want to worry about you, baby.
And then we got this long, long fade out that starts about halfway through the first outro. But let's just let it run so you can hear what's going on.
You don't want no otherwise. Your state of mind leaves me worried. And I don't want to worry about you, baby. Nobody tells me I need you. You don't want otherwise. Baby, hurry, I want you. Your state of mind leaves me worried.
And then just a hard cut off at the end, but that's fine. So putting all of that in together. Oh, and then we have the saxophone solo. Jason Parfait absolutely killed it. And he actually gave me more than I needed as well here because I didn't know if it was going to be just a sax solo or if it was going to be passed around a little bit. Ended up being passed around a little bit with the guitar. So we have the Infinity EQ that's on the horns preset. We've got the D-Res, which is going on just knocking out a little bit of honkiness, I think. Let's check. With the EQ, with the D-Res, taking out that nasty 3K. Another D-Res at like 3.5. And then just adding back in a little bit of lows there that we were missing. And it's so difficult sometimes to know exactly where these things are coming from. The way that harmonics work and everything, it might be something that is actually in that 3K range that's presenting as a little bit lower, or it's throwing everything out of whack. So I've been really loving this D-Res plugin just to kind of filter out, one or two of these things. It's really easy to use. And then it also has an Excite feature on there, and you can kind of compensate with its algorithm and stuff as well, which is pretty neat. So, and then just the channel EQ there, and then got this sent out to the tape delay, to the Verb Suite, to the Valhalla, to a pedal board, and the pedal board is just on a delay. Abbey Road Chamber. And then the saturator, and the saturator is also being fed to the chamber. So just for a little more excitement there, like here's without, here's with. Just gives a little more of that growl, that just sounds so great on sax. So all together. then the ending here, I made the conscious choice to fade it out. So with the fade out. And as far as automation goes, it was just a matter of bringing things in and out a little bit. I did do a little bit of a ramp with the overhead center mic. I didn't feel like I needed it earlier on in the song, and I really wanted that kind of full jam going there. Same thing with the hi-hat. Like the hi-hat, it was way too much to have it at minus 19 dB earlier on in the song, so I brought that down, but I left it higher at the end. Things change as the arrangement progresses, and sometimes the mix has to reflect that. I wanted to keep it exciting. I wanted to keep introducing things. There's a lot of percussion stuff that, only comes in at the end as it builds, and then things need to be rebalanced because there is more going on. Fun track overall. It's a massive session. The Hammond, I was doing a lot of rides there. Bob's a very dynamic performer, but I just needed a little bit more in the context of everything else that was going on. The sax solo, I kind of brought in and out. I've got some stuff muted out here. Now, granted, these are all different, in clips and how I arranged it and stuff for this video, but what you guys will have is everything from session start. Also, I've been including all of the original outsource files for you as a download as well. So you can get exactly what Bob sent me. You can get me exactly what Jake sent me, exactly what Jason sent me for the 504 horn stuff. Johnny's stuff was recorded actually at my place, now that I'm remembering, but that should all be there in there as well. And you've got everything with my processing applied, and then also just with no processing applied as it came in and as I received it for you to do with however you want. And this is really exciting too. You've got Johnny's contact information for guitar. You've got Bob's contact info for Hammond. You've got Jake's contact info for drums. You've got Jason and Ian's contact info for horns, and Warren's contact information for bass. So, and my contact information as well for whatever you might need. So, have a great time. Feel free to do what you want with this. I'm really looking forward to hearing some of your mixes and different production choices and everything. So, it's a massive session. It's a huge undertaking of a song, and I challenge you. The gauntlet has been thrown. So, I hope you have a wonderful time mixing and producing this. Feel free to use it in your portfolio. Have a wonderful, wonderful time wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you on the next one.